Your next lesson that you had in your note package is asexual reproduction, but we're going to skip that and we're going to move on to how genetic traits are inherited. Um, just because we're going to run out of time here, so we have to sort of pick and choose what to work on. So, how genetic traits are inherited. The note package for these is at the school, so it's photocopied in a pile sitting on the stage. Um, so hopefully you're able to go pick that up. If not, I am including all of the notes on the website so you can print them yourself. But if you don't have access to a printer and you'd like a hard copy of them, they are at the school on the stage. Okay. Now, if you've picked up your note package, you know that you should be looking at a picture of, I think it's Jaden Pickett Smith, right? Yeah, sorry, I'm just getting my sheet here. Yeah. And Thor. Who's that? Oh my god, I'm forgetting their names right now. That's Liam and the one married to Miley Cyrus. Anyways, you've got the image. You can take a look at that. These beautiful pictures are of my children. So these are my sons. Just show you the little one here is Daniel. The big one is Grayson. As you can see, they look pretty similar to each other. So they're 2 years apart here. And yes, here they are in little lab coats that I bought for them, doing a little experiment because I'm trying to train them to be big nerds like their mom. So we look like our family members, but we're not exactly the same. The information that determines how we look and how we act comes from our parents. So that's a picture of me, of course, and that's my husband there. So do we look like our kids? Yeah, we do. My youngest actually looks a lot like my husband, and my oldest is much more like my side of the family. And right now, if I asked you guys, you probably know which parent of yours you look more like. I always find it really fun on parent-teacher interviews when I get to meet parents and see how similar you are to some of your parents and some of your siblings too. Some of your brothers and sisters will be very similar to you guys, hey? So we look similar to our brothers and sisters. Speaking of that, that's my sister. Her name's Renee, but we're not exactly the same. So, for example, that's my sister and I. So we have very different face shapes, kind of. But if you look at our smiles, they're pretty much exactly the same. So certain things about us are the same. And you would be like that with your siblings as well, of course. Now we're going to talk about DNA. So how genetic traits are inherited, it's all through DNA. Does anyone know what DNA stands for? Some of you might know it. It's deoxyribonucleic acid. So that's in red there, so you can write that down. So that's where we get our DNA from. So where the letters come from, so it's going to be the D and then N, A. That's where that comes from. So DNA contains all of our genetic information, so it's considered to be the code of life. So anything that is genetic, it comes from our DNA. There's no other place for it to live. The DNA is found inside of our chromosomes. So chromosomes. Now, chromosomes. If we look at this, so chromosomes are strands of coiled up DNA that are found in the nucleus of the cells. Now, so we just finished learning about the cell, right? Which was a review for most of us. So inside the nucleus of that cell, you're going to see the chromosomes. Now, we have for humans, make a note of this. So this is for humans here. We have 46 chromosomes in each cell, except for sex cells. And the sex cells are going to be our sperm and egg. And so they're going to have half the amount of the genetic information. And of course, that's because we get one cell from our mother and one cell from our father. So if you look here, we've got this image. So these are our sperms here. So they are swimming. This is our egg here. How many of the sperm can get inside that egg? Only one. That's right. Now, we have 23 pairs of chromosomes in regular human cells. So this is called the human karyotype here. So they've actually established all of the different chromosomes. So we've got 23 pairs, and you'll notice here the only place they're different is for your sex. So, of course, it's always important to recognize a difference between sex and gender. So, sex would be your biological chromosome expression. So, female would be X and X, male would be X and Y. But of course, in terms of gender, we've got a lot of different variation and a spectrum, and gender expression can be very different. So, when we talk about sex, it's always the chromosomes. Okay, so that's what we're looking at in this unit. So I'm not talking about gender expression or anything like that. Okay, or sexuality either. Now, genes. Genes are segments of DNA. So they're a portion of the DNA. They are arranged in a specific order on each chromosome. So we can find where genes are located on each chromosome. They make up proteins. They're made up, sorry. They make up proteins which determine our characteristics. So our genes are where we get something. So your gene for eye color or hair color or anything like that, how tall you are, that kind of stuff. Those are genes. Now, each trait has 2 different alleles that determine what it will look like. Sorry, just a minute here. There we go. Each trait has 2 different alleles. So alleles is a word, no, I need that again. Alleles is a word that you have to make sure you know. So an allele, you get one from each of your parents. So you get one allele from your mom, one from your dad. So we have 2 alleles for each trait. And depending on what type of alleles those are, those will determine our different characteristics. So why we are how we are. So when the sperm and the egg fuse together at fertilization, they carry all of the genetic information that will decide what the child will look like. So there's nothing else. You're born with all the DNA that you're ever going to have. So we get 23 chromosomes from our mother, 23 from our father, which gives us a total of 46 chromosomes. So humans have 46 chromosomes. So this would be an example here of what different alleles look like, and I'll get you to sketch that. This would be in that big box on your notes there. This is what you would sketch. So you just have the shape of those alleles. So for example, eye color could be located here, blood type, hair color, growth, all the different places. So they can be found on these chromosomes. So those alleles are on those chromosomes there. Now, the assignment for today is just going to be in your textbook. So just page 11, question 1, and page 54, questions 1, 4, and 5. Again, if you do not have a textbook, please go to the school. I'll set some out on the stage for you. You can sign it out. Those textbooks are very expensive, though, so make sure you return them to the school, okay? And to me specifically when you're done with it at the end of the year. So I gave you a textbook assignment the other day as well, so we're going to correct these all together. We're going to maybe have a quick Zoom meeting on that and correct them together just so we can all check in with each other. Okay, thanks guys, and we'll see you later. Bye.